After the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, is it now nailed on that he will win the US election? 0207 862 2222 is the number you need. Absolutely shocking scenes from Pennsylvania at the weekend after the former president survived the assassination attempt. He was at a rally when shots were fired and he was hit in the ear.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
So you see him clutch his ear there because a bullet has shaved the top of his right ear, which is the most incredible near miss. He's now buried under those Secret Service agents. And by the way, you can't imagine the person who runs the Secret Service keeping their job for more than a few more hours. We now know that somebody behind there was killed. Comperatore, who's a volunteer firefighter and had been a fire chief in Pennsylvania, apparently shielding his wife and daughter. This is a terrible part of it. Two more were critically injured. The suspect was named as Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, bullied at school, took his dad's gun, crawled on a roof, shot dead at the scene by a Secret Service sniper. And let's have a look at the issues here for Trump, really. What do you think, Geoff? I mean, it overshadows the election completely, doesn't it? It
does to an extent. I mean, just thank God that it didn't actually wasn't successful in the way the shooter hoped, because I think with the underlying tensions in American politics, you're looking at an unprecedented and incredibly volatile situation. It still is, but what we have now is both Biden and Trump so far moving towards a more measured, unifying tone, which might be exactly what's needed. But it just shows that the hand of history, the margins are very narrow between something completely blowing up and maybe something hopefully starting to calm down.
Well, let's just take a look here at the issues. Just roll this and we'll look at this guy. Here he is, Thomas Matthew Crooks, who is the shooter, bullied at school, as I say. And whether, as Geoff says, he took them close to, what, civil war, if that bullet had hit Trump in the head there? Because instead we're left with these extraordinary images of Trump surrounded by his Secret Service and then punching the air and saying, "We fight." So it all comes back to this loner and then these remarkable images from the day itself. And you just wonder, where it all goes from here. OK, let's talk about it, Jemma. What do you think?
Well, it was extraordinary news to wake up to and incredibly shocking, of course. Not the first time there's been an assassination attempt on a president, or indeed a successful one, of course, in a country full of guns. Obviously, thank goodness it wasn't successful. What I will say is I instantly saw this and thought, oh, well, he's definitely won then, because there's those pictures and I think that it will play into. So I don't think Republicans were ever going to change their mind. Democrats are never going to change their mind, but you've got those swing states where people haven't made their mind up. And I think this does play into that kind of American sense of sort of some kind of heroic act.
But it's more, isn't it more than that? It's, if you are an undecided voter, what you think is, I'm going to vote to frustrate that gunman. You're now voting against the gunman.
There's a little bit of that.
There's a guy who's decided he's going to blow Trump's head off because he doesn't want him to be president. I'm going to vote against that guy.
Let's also caveat that with he was a member of the Republican Party, so that's all a bit confusing as well.
But that might have just been to gain access to spaces
it
we
might
have no idea.
We don't know at this stage. But the other thing that's sort of slightly ironic is one of President Trump's first acts when he was president first time round was to make it easier for mentally ill people to obtain firearms. And, you know, my reservations about... Firstly, I think, what are the Democrats doing? What are they doing keeping Biden? Get him out. Like, he is just clearly not up to it. And it's so important, this election. If you feel like me, you'll be very frightened about Trump getting in, especially at this point in time, because you know that he's going to let Putin do what he wants. He's not going to support Ukraine. Then, arguably, Putin, wins Ukraine and then does whatever he wants. And we don't know what that will be. I don't think we'll have that any kind of special relationship. Well, I don't feel like we'll have that ally anymore.
I'm not so sure. I mean, I think at the moment, you know, legitimately the story is about what almost happened to Trump and then, you know, the consequences of that for the general, for their presidential election. In a weird way, it sort of makes it easier for Biden for the time being. I don't know why. Politics is often irrational.
Oh, yes, it does. For some reason, I can't work out. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
If you're a Democrat who wants to to topple Biden, to get a different candidate. For some reason, you've lost focus today.
Is it to do with seeming crass, perhaps? Moving at this time
seems trivial, doesn't it?
Could seem crass. There's also the fact that Biden gets to operate the levers of the position, which is to appear as he did on national television last night in the Oval Office, with a speech that's, let's be honest, not as bad as some of them recently, but it had its moments, so to speak.
I saw people kicking off after Biden spoke the first time. They said he was not sufficiently outraged by the fact that his opponent had been almost shot dead.
But he doesn't move out of first gear, does he?
No.
I don't think he'd do outrage at this stage. It's just very...
Let's see Biden, actually. Just have a listen to this.
The Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I am able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well.
So, OK, there's Joe Biden. David in Cumbria, hi.
Hi, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Now, what do you think? Is this basically, this is the election done now? Trump has won?
I've thought for a while that Trump was going to win. But the basic thing was we were 3 millimeters away from a civil war in America.
Yes, well, I think you're right. Because let's just think this through. Because I feel that, but I don't know quite what the logic is. So you mean he gets killed and then all of his supporters blame Biden? Is that right?
America's quite volatile because of you get language on both sides from both Republicans and Democrats, which is pretty inappropriate. And when you lose the art of debate, I mean, I can disagree with some of your panelists or whatever, but I would never say I'm going to punch them or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's just. It's just the use of language. And, I mean, and it's the same in the UK since 2014, since the Scottish referendum and then Brexit, the divisions in the country have magnified.
Well, Geoff, what do you think?
Well, no, I think in a weird way, this campaign from Trump was already more moderate for Trump, by the way, more moderate for Donald Trump than it has been. And I also think that politically, if he's got any savvy, actually what the American people will want now is their leaders to be more conciliatory. So if Trump wants to use this to win, he should actually be more grown up and be more unifying. So if anything, what I think you'll see from both Trump and Biden is them actually scrabbling for that reassuring centre ground.
To be respectful. Do you remember when Nancy Pelosi's husband was nearly beaten to death with a hammer and Trump went and made the most disgusting speech, sort of mocking it? Horrific. And I'm not saying the Democrats haven't had their moments with the odd sentence here and there, which is too much, too inflammatory. But the kind of the man who, you know, basically got everybody to storm Capitol Hill. And do you remember they put a big a noose up and were talking about hanging Mike Pence, and he seemed to support that.
So he's fueled the kind of violent talk. Let's just have a look, because there's an image here I want to show you from I'm just going to head over to the wall over here, OK? So, or maybe I'm not. OK, I'll go here. This image here of Trump, who realises after he's been shot that this is the image of the century so far, stands up and says, "Fight." People saying it's like that moment. Now, that was 1945. That's Iwo Jima, where American troops basically took a Japanese island at the end of the Second World War. And if we could roll it here or not. Can we just roll it now? Let's just have a look here at this. So that is a kind of, that's been made into a statue in Washington, D.C. Let's have a look and remind ourselves of the sequence here. Sorry, we couldn't get this to you earlier on. So the Butler Farm Show grounds opens at 1 p.m. These are Trump supporters who come in, and essentially, as far as they're concerned, there's a security cordon. Then at 4 o'clock Eastern time, the former Senate candidate Sean Parnell makes the opening remarks. The fans all go crazy, so it's all beginning to build up. 6 o'clock, Trump takes to the stage and is shot. And you can see this. This is the other thing. What the hell is going on? That a guy here, Crooks, can get on the roof there and he can shoot Trump there, hit his ear. He's then, it seems, almost immediately taken out by these sharpshooters on that roof there. But you just wonder what on earth is going on. And we then have these extraordinary images. So we've shown you that the moment Trump gets hit in the ear, the crowd starting to react. Then the moment the Secret Service get around. Then the moment, this amazing picture where he says, "Fight." That's probably going to win in the election if nothing else does. So these pictures where he's almost trying to punch through the security detail, and then, serious armory and him on the ground, and then he's taken away. Wow. What an incredible moment in America. So disturbing. Angela in Cardiff, hi.
Good morning.
Hey, so will he win the election now as a result?
Sadly, I think there is a risk that he will.
Uh-huh. Why do you say sadly?
I cannot stand the man and everything he stands for. I think he's a major risk, not only to America, but to the world. But even more so, I think if you read or watch some of the videos of his supporters who believe that he is like a messiah, that God is behind everything that he does, that's going to just increase now because he's survived this attempt on his life.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Find that very worrying.
You would agree, would you?
Yeah, I agree with you, Angela. It's that sort of martyrdom, isn't it? And then I never understand that. You have these children in elementary school being shot, and there's like this whole idea that they wouldn't be saved. It's just a horrible dichotomy.
But symbolism does matter in politics. It's an emotional draw. I mean, we just had a general election campaign where one guy discussed the fact that his dad was a toolmaker for 6 weeks. Rishi Sunak with the Sky Sports thing. These aren't like big P political moments, but they're things that stick in the mind, and that photo will be iconic in its own way.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks, Angela. Adrian on Facebook says Donald Trump had already won anyway. Sandy on Facebook says this will rally his supporters while at the same time bring in those that were still undecided. And I think, as well, as Geoff says, it's possible if you're Biden, you're thinking, OK, I'm safe now. So Biden may lose the election, but he's going to be the candidate.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. We were like, he's a convicted felon. Oh, so he's probably not going to win. Oh, no, the Supreme Court have said, that's fine. I mean, this is crazy stuff, right? It is
crazy stuff.
But one thing,
people... country.
I was saying is, the degree of movement, we might be overestimating it, because if you can support somebody who, despite them being a convicted felon, and if you can support somebody despite them appearing to have cognitive decline, how many, what would it take to actually move you the other way? The big issue in American politics is turnout, actually. It's mobilising the people that already support you to vote.
Well, when Reagan was shot, he went up 7%, I read at the weekend. So there is that. And Trump had dropped 4 or 5% after his conviction. So maybe it all ends up all square.